Welcome to Bene Naras, where we discuss all things Latin and writing and books.
I'm Rachel Cunning, and I live on a mountain.
You do. I am
I do.
Arianne Belzer-Carroll, and I don't live on a mountain. But I think I am excited to talk about tricky words today. Specifically, thinking tricky words, because English doesn't have this distinction for the word to think. You can say things like, yeah, I think I'm going to eat Oreos in the bathtub. And I'm now going to do that. And I like to watch the stars and think using the same word. And Latin doesn't do that. So we are going to talk about the differences between the verb cogitare and the verb putare.
Cogito ergo sum.
Puto te recte dicere.
I see what you did there. So I'm going to be really honest. In the first novella I wrote, Kubito Psuke, I did not know this distinction existed, and it was one of the things that I learned in the writing process was that this distinction exists, and it's something I have to think about when I'm writing because I still make this mistake sometimes and have to catch myself doing it.
Yeah, it's tricky for a lot of people. And, you know, we discussed the idiom thing, but this is as much idiom as anything else. It's not a phrase, but it is, you know, a distinction that Latin makes. It is Latin idiom. So I think we should start with putare, which means to think, as in to have an opinion.
What?
It means to think, as in have an opinion. If you can substitute, I have the opinion that, or I think that, or I believe that, then that's a space where you should be using some form of putare. It usually requires an indirect statement, although not always. You can say like, ut puto, something.
Which I do.
You do. For the record, it does have synonyms like cancera, and those behave the exact same way that putare does. We're focusing on putare today because it's higher frequency.
So let's look at some examples from our own works where we have used putare.
Let's do that indeed. Let's do that. Look, examples.
Yay! Who doesn't love examples? Everybody loves examples. So this first one is from my book Domini Secretum, and we've got Pater meus iratus esse vidibatur, sed ego putabam Saturnalia esse dies optimus. So this is a clear opinion. I thought that Saturnalia were the best days because it's like a 7-day festival. So my kiddo has a clear opinion on this, and that's why we're using puto.
Right. The second one is written at level 3. You'll notice we don't have a level 1 example in here, although you can. If you were to go read Lucia, Puella, Mala, She Putats, things all over the place. You just have to keep it fairly simple. In any case. Yeah.
Oh, there's some in Ego Polyphemus, I believe, as well. And so that's another example of a lower level work that uses them. So you can just be clear.
Absolutely. So this is a book about Hannibal. He's fairly young at this point, and he doesn't think his dad sees him. If we had written cogito here, it's so hard to do the translation. It's like, I don't meditate that my dad sees me, or I don't sit there and
reflect.
Think about it. But
I don't ponder deeply.
Right. Whereas this is, I don't think so. I don't believe so. It's not my understanding that dad sees me. This is the process of having an idea or an opinion, not the act of like being the thinker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No statues.
No statues. Also, I think the Vatican's closed right now anyway, and it's anyway. So these are
virtual tours.
Super true. These are examples, by contrast, of how we use cogitare.
And as we've been talking about, cogitare is that ponder deeply, like get up all in your noggin. But so this is a ponder deeply, reflect. And so here,
consider.
I mean, Venus has been raging about Psyche and how everyone thinks she's so beautiful and a goddess. And so here she's thinking and pondering deeply about what to do with the problem that is Psyche.
Right.
She doesn't have well, she has opinions, but not in the sentence.
And you notice that you use day here. You can cogitare day something. And I think you can also cogitare direct objects. Seneca does. In the famous letter about the baths, he tells you, nunc alipilum cogita. Think about the alipilus. Don't think about the alipilus. They're hair pluckers, and you don't have time for that. But you can think about them, but this doesn't take an indirect statement. At least I can't think of an instance where this does take an indirect statement, but then again, Cicero hasn't emailed us yet. So if you can think of an instance, send us an email and I'll, retract it. But this is typically.
And what was our email address again? beninaruslatina@gmail.com.
Yes, it is.
Send us an email. Pretend to be Cicero. It'll be awesome.
Please do. Again, here, Sextus is not thinking about something. Rachel's chosen to use a prepositional phrase. I didn't. And you notice this is level 1. He is sitting there. He is angry, and he is thinking, and he has got a plan. This is a scene that uses both. Lucia is sitting there and she's thinking about something. She's thinking about the similarities between her brother and Polyphemus. They are legion. And then her mother asks her quid putas. You can ask quid cogitas. Like, what are you thinking about? Or de quo cogitas? You can ask that question. That isn't what she wants to know. Mom knows what Lucia is thinking about. She wants to know what you think. And so we have two contrasting ideas here. Lucia meditates on something, and then, what do you think? What's your opinion? What do you believe here? She believes that Sextus and Polyphemus are pretty much the same, which they are.
Right. And then, just to fly my nerd flag, what I really like to think of with cogito is, what is the meaning of life?
It's 42.
Yeah, I mean that's it's 42, and that's where I was going. That's a cogitare kind of question. What is the meaning of life?
And my answer is a Putare question. I think that the meaning is 42.
Right, and te custo.
Obviously, I don't think there was room for disagreement there. So Rachel, you mentioned recently you had trouble with this when we were talking.
Yeah, and this is what happens. Our noggins think the word think and does not see that difference. And so even though I've been paying attention to this in my own writing, I wrote a sentence. I thought about it while I was writing it. I did the cogitare kind of thinking where I was like, is this right? And then wrote it and then read through it several times, sent it off to editors. It went through all 3 of my editors and no one commented on it. And then when I was doing my final formatting, I looked at it and was like, wait, this isn't I have an opinion kind of statement. She's thinking about this in her noggin. She's all up in her noggin. And so, it happens. And I think that's one of the things and one of the places where we really have to give grace to ourselves, because I'm not a native speaker of Latin. But I am a teacher and I care deeply about producing quality materials for my kids, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to make mistakes, but I'm going to grow, I'm going to start catching them. And it's just part of the process. And I did catch it.
You did. And so if you're the kind of person who needs examples or wants to practice, we're going to throw a slide at the end of this video with some examples on it, including the sentence that gave Rachel trouble, so that you can decide whether this is a cogitare situation or a putare situation, and get yourself more used to it. And you do eventually get more used to it. You eventually get more used to the distinction.
You grow.
You do. Alas, I think we have to wrap up. So next time on Bene Naras, we will be discussing choosing your words for your story, how to choose words well and wisely, where to go look frequency lists, how to decide when it's worth it to stray outside the frequency list and so forth. And until then, scribite bonis avibus.
Facete volatis.
Volatis.